Yes,
It was like, well,
wide up there,
about,
cow.
but I lifted the pipe up,
Yeah.
20 feet.
So he
got
That's
that 2-inch pipe all the way. I don't know how
Yeah.
far it goes down.
If it's
but-
free out there, it's probably down there 300 or 400
So
feet.
you got snow still
But
up
4
there?
inches.
4 inches.
That's, is that 2.5-inch pipe or
Okay.
blow?
It's 2-inch.
Yeah, the
Right.
I think the casing was 5.
He blows it
But-
25 feet.
Like,
It says at 12 inches.
and I'm sure the well's dry. That's why they quit.
Oh, wow.
You hear
But
that.
it's
And
pretty
you put the
good
battery
pipe
out,
for the
then
most
it's
part.
poured out.
Probably worth
16
the money.
Yeah. Even salvage,
That's pretty
that's,
good.
there's a lot of weight there.
Everything they have anymore.
So a guy could
Yeah,
actually,
strain the,
It might, I got
The-
rid of these, so I could.
I took my big skidster up there to lift that head
It's a
up.
40.
See,
what was on
And it
top of
was,
that?
it's just got a,
The biggest.
Like a stuffing box with the rod going through
no, it didn't have a rod. It just had a,
After 40 minutes.
um,
40 minutes.
it just
pretty
came,
good.
40
it
minutes.
screwed into it. It's just a big metal plate. And then it had a head with like, it almost looked like you.
Came with a blower and everything.
it. Okay,
It had
Came with a blower.
like some half
And
moon
what kind of spray?
shade type lump
And
on
it came with
it.
a.
so somebody probably pulled there's probably a cylinder down there and they probably pulled the rods of plunger out.
That's pretty
Be
reasonable.
my guess.
Battery.
I mean, there's
You
no
buy
wire or
battery.
anything, so
No.
it looks like it'd be a submersible.
No, no.
And it may
A lot
not be
more
that
than
deep
that.
if it's been abandoned here.
I checked.
That's what I wondered. So,
The guy could, or the pump hoist, in some elevators, you could pull that out.
yeah,
A couple hours probably or less.
yeah.
Measure it, see what's down there.
Good evening. We're going to call this meeting to order on December 8th, 2025 at 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everybody who's come on our staff, which is lovely, and everybody who's come to speak or be involved with our public hearings and other stuff that we're doing tonight. Do we have any conflicts of agenda or conflicts of ex parte communication or conflicts of interest tonight on anything? No?
Nope.
Sure. The first thing we're going to talk about is number 2, approval of minutes. I wasn't here, so I'm not going to be a part of that. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes, or do we need to do anything to the minutes?
I'd make a motion to approve them.
Second it.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes from November 10th, 2025?
Aye.
7 to nothing. I can't vote, 1 abstention. And our next one, number 3, is a sketch plan. We don't have any. Number 4 is a plat. We don't have any. And number 5 is the approval of finding of facts on 5.1 Class 2 transient rental permit. Adam and Carrie Newman, application number 25-048. This is an action item.
Okay, so as a reminder, this is just something you voted on and approved. So this is the finding of facts and conclusion of laws that was held on November 10th of 2025 for the Class 2 transient rental conditional use permit. They started off with 10 people they are renting to per night. The address is 3780 Rays Court in Island Park. 25-0048 is the application number, and it belongs to Adam and Carrie Newman. They bumped it up to 30 people per night, and it was approved. So, and I sent you over all this. Do you have any questions?
Any further discussion on that tonight?
Make a motion that we approve the 5.1 Class 2 transient rental permit of Adam and Carrie Newman, application 25-048.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Passed unanimously.
Thanks.
All right, number 6 is our public hearing. And I just want to remind everybody a little bit about public hearings before we get started. Tom will address, tell us what's going on. Do remember that in a public hearing, when you come up to speak, you need to give us your name and your address clearly, so we can figure out where you're at. And if you're gonna speak, you should be already signed up here on our table over here, because once we start, you can't sign up. And there should be no questions once you have spoken. You might come up with another idea. It's too late. Just know you can't do that. Please don't speak out or ask to speak out again during our meeting, because we have to hear what's going on in order to make a decision. And that means no talking amongst yourselves out there, because we're being recorded and it wreaks havoc on our note and in our memory, our memo stuff out there that has to be approved. So please don't talk during this thing. And right now, please turn off your phones. We'd like you to have your phones turned off. Ringing in the middle is really disgusting. And then you owe us candy or something. So,
Yep.
do you?
Paul,
Hey.
before you start,
Yes.
I brought treats. We don't get to have a Christmas party, so I brought treats and you're all welcome to help yourself. There are beverages, there are glasses, all that over there. And Merry Christmas to my fellow board members here and the
Thank you.
staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Okay, you have a staff report. It's substantially, the body of the staff report is substantially the same as what we emailed you last Friday. But there's a few details, there's references added, there was a couple maps added because illustrations I think will help. And then there are some attachments that the document refers to. We're talking about a comprehensive plan amendment and a development code amendment in order to comply with changing the state law. We used to have rules for areas of city impact. That around a city and a county had to agree on what the rules were going to be for development. But that ran afoul of the fact that the cities have no jurisdiction outside their boundaries, and the way the state statute was structured muddied that in a way that the courts started to be pretty strict about. And the state legislature stepped in and implemented these changes. I'm kind of roughly summarizing the background here. The state said, okay, if it's outside the city, it's not the city's, it's the county's jurisdiction. The county's going to pass area of impact rules and boundaries for the cities. And then they attach some standards to that we'll touch on in a minute. Currently, we have areas of city impact agreements with St. Anthony, Ashton, Teton, Newdale, Parker, and Island Park. Inside of those, so that starting on page 2 there's some maps for each of those cities that show the city zoning, right? The zoning, the area of city impact agreements for St. Anthony, Ashton, Teton, Newdale have city zoning outside of the city in the area of impact. Parker and the city of Island Park do not. At the beginning of this year, we started talking to the cities. This change had to be done by the end of the year. We started asking them questions. How do you think you'll grow? Where do you think you'll grow? And after we got feedback from them, we put together some draft suggestions. Based on projections of growth, we also hired a consultant to produce population estimates for the county and these cities. What are their population is going to be 5, 10, 20, 30 years out. We took those population numbers. We subtracted the current population to get the number from the 2031 estimate to get the number that each city's population would grow. That's how much growth they had to accommodate. We doubled it to get us a margin of error. To figure out how many dwelling units would be needed, we divided that estimate by 2.5 occupants per dwelling, except for Island Park where we used 2. We adjusted the number of dwellings needed in order to account that a fair number of homes in our area are second homes. So for most cities, we added 50% to the number of dwellings that we've needed, but Island Park, we multiplied it by 10. Because currently 90% of the dwellings in the Island Park area are not lived in full-time. We took the number of dwellings needed and assumed 1 per acre. Because that's the minimum lot size that you can build in the county if you don't have a well, or if you don't have a water system and a sewer system. And we doubled that number to give us enough ground for streets, commercial parks, and everything that would go along with the number of houses. And there's a table on page 7 that displays those results. We used that data, the responses we got from the city, and fill them up with some suggested area of impact boundaries. We took their thoughts on where they would grow and tried to accommodate that as much as we could. And then we went around the border of the city and included any private land that touched the city boundary on the idea that if you are next to the city and you want to annex, you should be able to annex and not have our rule complicate that. Each area of impact also has comprehensive plan land use designations. For those that have city zoning, they have city comprehensive plan designations. We have to replace all of those with county designations. In order to do these things, there are some changes to the text in the comprehensive plan and the development code. And so those are part of the ordinances. And if you go to chapters 2 and 3, those are the draft ordinance and the draft resolution. The resolution to change the comprehensive plan, that's attachment 2. The ordinance to change the development code and the zoning, that's attachment 3. So starting on page 8, here's what we suggested. In St. Anthony, the main focus of this area of impact is to the south of town, where they've recently extended services and annexed property. We included properties that immediately border the city, unless the city indicated that they have no plans to extend services there, or there's a geographical barrier like a river or a canal. If they're unlikely to extend a service line across a river or canal, we didn't include it. For the most part, the zoning is either rural urban transition or the county zoning with the closest match to the uses and densities that the current city codes zones allow. But they're in their area of impact. There are 2 zones that we don't have a good county analog for. One is the public facility zone, and one is the open space zone. And if you read their zones, those are specifically designed to accommodate their plans for expansion and what they think is going to happen there. And we don't have a county zone that would accomplish that for them. So there are some properties labeled public facilities and open space, and we added those 2 zones to, or we're suggesting adding those 2 zones to the development code. Ashton, their expectation is the city's going to grow to the west towards the new alignment of Highway 20, whenever that happens, and to a lesser extent to the east along Highway 47. We included those in their development or in the area of impact. Teton, their expectation was that they would develop along Highway 32-3. That there would be that the growth that's sweeping towards and through Sugar City would continue towards them. And so we did what we could zoning wise to accommodate that. New Dale has the same expectation that the growth pressure will eventually reach them. And in fact, New Dale and Teton on their own spoke together and talked about what the zoning should be between the two cities. And so the zoning proposal that we have in that ordinance accommodates their plan, even though some of it is outside of the area of impact. We still propose changing the zoning to fit their plan. Parker, they requested an expansion more than we felt we could justify, given the growth numbers that we had for them. But we did extend a little bit to the west to meet, to match their planned commercial growth with a county designated commercial node. And we also were encouraged by their response to us. They said they have water that they can use to serve development. And so we proposed some zoning that will hopefully be conducive to their growth in a way that allows them to provide that water to developments and gets housing or demand for growth in the county accommodated in a way that that demand doesn't have to drill new wells. Island Park. We shrunk their area of impact based on it's already too big. If you look at the table, their area of impact was extremely large. We shrunk that down a little bit. We did not include any public land or land where we knew that there were conservation easements on it. And Island Park's zoning is currently, or the zoning in the area of city impact is currently county zoning. And we have no proposal to zone anything differently than what is zoned now in the Island Park area of impact. All that zoning we should reestablish the same zoning that we already have. If the city has plans that differ from that, we're perfectly willing to accommodate it. But for this proposal, we're not suggesting anything different. On page 10, there's a summary of some written comments and our analysis of those. I'll let you read those at your leisure. On page 11, next steps. Your next steps are to hold this hearing, listen to all the testimony, then deliberate, both over written comments, over the things you hear today, or the things that you've been given in your packets, and then make a decision about what you want to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners. Staff recommends that you forward this ordinance to them with a recommendation to approve it. We recommend that you find that it's compatible with the comprehensive plan because these changes advance the goal for policies 13 and 14, which says new development is concentrated in suitable areas, including existing population centers, to ensure adequate public facilities and infrastructure are available or planned in areas where growth is to occur. We tried to follow this guiding principle. We want the growth that is going to happen in the county to be in and near the cities where hopefully it can be served by city infrastructure instead of individual wells and septics. One thing to remember, the statute that the legislature passed that requires us to do this says if the county doesn't do this by the end of this year, all the existing area of city impact agreements are nullified. That opens the possibility that by nullifying them, those areas would be unzoned, which would be a bad result. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss A of Is for the cities. Purpose of A of Is are to accommodate growth. It's not about stopping growth. And this process is not to impose our vision on the cities. It's to, if the cities have any alternative suggestions, we're open to amending or modifying their area of impact whenever they want to do that. Do you have any questions for me? I don't want to go through this in detail unless you really need me to.
I do have a question on the zoning changes on St. Anthony.
Okay,
And I also have a question on the, that we would go to no zones if we did not pass some of the AOIs or all the AOIs. Because I understand that, last year or this year, I think when we passed the, any opened areas or any areas not zoned in Island Park or anywhere else in Fremont County would become a rural base if there was no zone present on them.
okay,
Is that correct?
and that might save us, but I wouldn't bank on it.
Okay.
right.
I just know that we did that.
Mhm,
And
right.
so I'm
we
wondering
did.
if there's no zone on something, if it becomes rural base at that point.
The zoning is what you set it as,
Would-
right? And so if you have property that is zoned, say St. Anthony, high density residential, and then that zone goes away, it doesn't automatically become something else. You have to designate a zone. So when we passed that ordinance last year, it was to say, okay, anything that we haven't currently designated or that we isn't clearly designated currently is rural base.
But does it apply to something that in the meantime has become non-zone?
I don't think we'd get away with it.
But
We
but
could try.
We could move to have that done.
We still have to pass
Right, oh, I agree.
the zoning,
Mhm.
for these areas of impact, whatever it is. The ordinance that we passed last year probably won't save us if we don't do this at time.
But we don't know for sure, that's true.
No, because no one ever knows anything legal for sure.
And the other thing that I had a question about was just the changing of the development code and the comp plan with two new designations that we haven't had before. And we really, really need to update our development code and our comp plan before we do anything like this, especially adding new zones
These zones are already there. This property's already zoned those zones.
in city, but not in county.
In the county, it's zoned those. zones.
Development code, it has that. those
Not in the county's
designations.
development code is because we adopted the city's code.
Right.
We can't use the city's code anymore. If we want to keep those properties zoned the way they are, we have to have those zones in our code.
But we don't have them in our code.
We will if we pass this.
Right, but that's changing our development code and our comprehensive plan without any input from anybody except these people right here. Is that correct?
You are the people who give the input.
It states right in the LUPA and in the state rules that we have to have the community speak on development code changes, not just making them up.
No, it doesn't.
And it says that we have to have steering committees and everything else
Mm-mm.
in order to change development codes unless we're spot zoning. And we've done spot zoning for years and we shouldn't anymore.
Okay, we haven't done any spot zoning. Spot zoning is a technical legal term and we haven't done it.
We've done lots of zoning changes that are not actually in the development code until we change them. We've been doing that for the whole time I've been in here, 4 years. And that's my concern is that we're changing all we need to do is do the AOIs. That's all the state 675226 says is that we have to change the AOIs. It doesn't say anything about changing zoning or comprehensive plans. That's my concern, is that we're doing something that's not required. We can always address those problems after we pass this AOI.
The AOI includes zoning and comprehensive plan designations. That's what an AOI is. It's those designations for around the city. If you change it, those are part of your changes.
But if we don't have that designation, we have to change a comp plan and the development code in order to agree with the AOI as a city. That's what I'm not understanding.
Well, what else, what would you change it to? Those
Well, if
properties
you-
that,
if you
that
can't-
are
if you
currently
can't-
zoned that, what would you change them to?
Then they have to go into county zoning until we do something
Right,
else.
what county zone would you change them to?
Rural base.
Rural base. Rural base allows a lot of uses that are incompatible with those, with the city's plans for those zones.
But the city has a say in that in the
No,
law.
the city has no say in that.
Once this is done, you can still meet with them to get together and decide what you want to do with
The
that
city can
area.
propose other things, yes.
Yeah.
But in order to do those, we'd have to add those other things to the development code.
But if we add these two new designations to the development code, it's not just for St. Anthony, it's for anywhere in Fremont County. Isn't that right?
You could do it either way. You could put
Can
them
we
in
say
there
we
and
can't
allow
do
them
it
anywhere,
else?
or you can say these are only for St. Anthony's big impact.
But once you do that, you've changed a comp plan, and our comp plan doesn't say anything about those areas of change. I find I'm having a real problem with the fact that we haven't updated our development code in our comp. We've been
Okay.
saying we were gonna do that since
Mhm.
October of last year,
Yes.
and it was supposed to start in June, and it hasn't yet.
Nope, and
And
it's
now
not
we're-
going to for a while because it takes a lot of work to do it. And we're a little bit swamped.
Tiffany and I,
This has to be done now.
Tiffany and I went to a meeting
Mhm.
that you guys asked us to go to. And we happened to be sitting with some commissioner types from Madison. And Gary Armstrong, their administrator, they went through and did a complete comp plan and development code change in 3 to 5 months in the
Okay.
last year. They can't possibly be, well, they can't be as easy as we are. They have a much broader base of problems in their county than we do because of Rexburg. But they were able to do it in 3 to 5 months. Why can't we do that? Before we start changing little pieces of the development code and the comprehensive plan, which we don't know what everybody wants done.
Right. I don't know what Madison County's deal is. I don't know what they did, and I don't know what their workload is. But if they're outside,
Gary Armstrong did it, and it sounds like he knows how to do it, and we're looking for a third party to do it. Maybe we need to
Okay.
ask someone like that.
well, that's not on the agenda tonight.
I
This
understand
is.
that. But I don't like the idea of changing our development code and our comprehensive plan just for one little thing. We have to update these two documents. We just have to do it. We don't have to start from scratch. We already have a really good comp plan and a good development code. Why don't we just leave them the way they are and do the proper changes on them before we do anything like this? We can still pass the AOIs.
You can't.
we
You have to
can't.
change the zoning to do the
It
AOIs.
doesn't say that in the state.
The zoning is part of an AOI. It's built into the AOI.
It doesn't say that in the state stuff. I've looked everywhere. It mentions the comp plan in 3 places in that whole 40 pages of that document. And none of it is saying that you have to change it. That's what I'm confused about. I have read this nasty piece of nothingness that I can't stand. I've fallen asleep to it. I have not fallen asleep to it because it stressed me. And I can't see why we have to change we have to change a comprehensive plan and a development code in order to do an AOI on the whole county.
Okay, so
It's
if you
always
don't
simple.
keep the same boundaries, let's take Island Park, for example.
Mhm.
If the boundaries change, then the part that's not in the AOI anymore needs a zoning designation. Because the old ACI designated a zone. And when that expires or is repealed, you need a new zone. So you have to dezgnate a zone.
And what we did last year says that if we have to designate a
No,
zone, it
no.
becomes rural base.
Yeah, I am advising you not to rely on that for this. You do not want to have unzoned land or even the risk of having unzoned land. You don't want a judge to say, well, this guy gets to do whatever he wants without requiring any permits because the land is unzoned because of the way he did it. I'm telling you that in order to avoid that possibility, you need to designate this zoning for everything that's in the former AOI.
So Tom, did I hear you just say that it can just be restricted to the St. Anthony City of Impact? Those
Yes.
two new zones?
Mhm.
With no risk of it going anywhere else.
Well, and you would have to have a zone change with a public hearing to add those zones to change, right? I mean, it wouldn't be
That's what
just.
this
Right, you just add language to that ordinance that says these only apply in the St. Anthony
Areas
area of
of
impact. Mhm.
Well, I have a question about the open space and the public facilities zoning. You said that this green area that's called open space is already zoned that under the county ordinance?
The county,
City.
the old ordinance says in the area of city impact, the city's zoning will apply.
Okay. So if somebody came and wanted to put something in this green zone, open space, they have to come to us
Right,
for whatever. But our development code doesn't contain an open space zone.
no,
So how do we do that?
we look at St. Anthony's zoning and we follow their procedure and their permit rules for
But
that.
that's leaving
seems-
it spread.
That seems odd.
It is odd, and it's good that we're not doing it that way anymore.
It's, okay, and then on the public facilities, that's the airport and the business park, right?
Mhm,
Is what that zone is.
yes,
And I'd forgotten that the airport is actually not in the city, that it's in the county. So it's been that way for a lot of years.
mhm,
I just find it odd that I never heard of it before. I mean,
well,
it's never come up. Apparently, nobody's ever asked for something in that. It's mostly the river anyway, in the river bottoms, but there are people now who want to develop that. And so it's concerning that I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. Maybe everybody else is, but because it isn't specifically, in our development code. If we had gone to look at open space, it wouldn't refer back to this, right?
right,
Okay, all right, which makes it hard for us to. That's my question on this one.
Any other questions?
Okay.
I don't know.
The map on Ashton, oh, well, no, I have to go back, go back here now. What were the changes in Ashton? Did we bring it? I see where the new one is, but I don't know quite how, what the old area of impact was.
so
How does that
go to page 3. Right there.
Oh, okay, there. And then this shows,
Right. That shows a new boundary inside of where the old boundary was.
it's hard to do.
And suggested zoning for that, all the stuff that was zoned under the old zone.
So all of their sewer ponds, all of that is in the area of impact,
Yes,
everything north of.
So the area of
I'm in the wrong
impact,
place.
sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
Go ahead, no, I'm just,
So does an area impact go in and include areas that can never be built on, places that are considered like open spaces and the public facilities? Would we ever develop those? why are they in the area of impact if we can't, if we can't develop them? Why aren't they just left outside the area of impact?
Well, they're in the area of impact because they might be part of the city's plan for growth, right? And if the city, one of the things the city needs is to be able to annex to where it thinks it's gonna be, and sometimes that includes pieces in between that, like some of the open space or public facilities may not be developed, but they need to be able to annex that so that they have a contiguous development. They're
Right.
not allowed to skip property.
Right. But if we actually did change the development code and the comprehensive plan at some point where we actually clarified that those problems in area of impact could be skipped or jumped over because they're not.
Can't do it.
developable, we can't do that?
No,
Even if we change the.
no,
development code?
because the city is not allowed by state statute to create pockets of unannexed land. They're not allowed to skip a piece of property and just annex the next one.
Have to be
There,
contiguous.
the restrictions that the legislature has put on them for annexation mean they need to have a plan that includes annexing what they need to get between where they are and where they want to be.
At some point, when they have to go through these open spaces and other areas, how do they propose to do that without disturbing the open spaces? I'm just curious.
That's the city's deal. Until they annex, they don't disturb it, they don't do anything with it.
Right.
When they do annex it, it'll be their business. I'm just trying to not impose a county vision on the cities. The city said we want to do this. We're trying to accommodate that as much as we can.
Right. No, I agree with that part. I don't think we should be imposing on the cities. It's their growth. It impacts us also. It impacts the whole county, everybody around those cities, but the county itself, doesn't have nearly the extent of control over areas that the cities does. The city's impact areas are by being controlled pretty much by the city. They
The
actually.
city has
it
no
protects-
control over the area of impact.
But we have to change our development code and our comprehensive plan in order to accommodate that.
We don't have to. I'm suggesting that in order to accommodate their vision, in order to not mess up their plan, that there's a couple of things that they have done that we should include.
Tom, question,
Mhm.
do we have definitions that I could find that we have for like what is the higher density residential, lower density?
We'd have to
Mixed
look
use
in the city
commercial.
code.
Those are in city code,
Yeah.
they're not in any of our
Nope.
codes. Okay.
On St. Anthony, the area of impact. South of US 20, there's a large yellow area, which would be, as I read this is from the corner where the Mad Moose is, and that's included in their area of impact.
Okay, so. We go down here. That one. Here's St. Anthony, this is the area you're talking about out here. Here's the current area of impact boundary,
This jog out here.
right?
This is,
Yeah.
this is, Radio Road, this is.
Yeah. So this is the current boundary and it doesn't go any farther than this.
Okay,
Now,
so this has always been part of their,
yeah, that's always been in the area of city impact.
okay, because it goes out quite a ways.
Yes.
And,
And if we turn on the
more than 2 miles.
city zoning, this is what they have there,
Mhm.
right? The lower density residential, rural cluster.
Yeah, this doesn't have those,
No, we didn't,
which
we
was
didn't
made it really
propose-
hard to,
we didn't propose adopting their rural cluster because our existing RET zone and the R2 zone do those do approximately the same thing.
And
Uh,
I would assume that part of the reason this is such a big zone is that there's one property owner in there owns a lot of that. You can't split it. It just seems like this jog out here is beyond,
That's because of the shape of these lots. You see, this lot right here is
yeah,
that full length.
yeah.
And one of the rules in the new state statute is you can't divide a property
And
with
that's
an
why I
impact
wondered if
area
that's what
boundary.
a lot of this was.
Right. We used to be able to, but now if that was 600 acres and we wanted the front 200 feet in the impact area, we have to include the whole thing.
I have a question, Tom.
Yeah.
If in that situation where you might cut into a property, do owners ever get the option to opt out of being in an impact?
And being in the impact area,
Can they opt out?
no, not really. We set the impact area by this ordinance. Um, they can vote against, if there's a vote on annexation, they can vote against it. There are some rules restricting what cities can and can't annex. I don't stay super current on those because it's a city thing that is up to them. But if their property is such that they can say no to a city annexation, then they can opt out of that. But the impact area is, I would much rather that the counties didn't do impact areas at all. But the state requires us to do them. I would prefer that the cities were required to do an annexation policy as part of their comprehensive plan. This is where we're gonna grow, and that they couldn't annex without an annexation policy. And the statute includes something kind of like that, but instead of mandating that the cities have a comprehensive annexation policy, they mandate that the counties pass an area of impact before a city can annex.
You can look at the cities, their boundary, and you can see where people have opted not to be annexed, or they were kind of forced to not too long ago. If they were getting city services, they basically said, you've got to be annexed. But you can look at this boundary, and that's what that is people who don't want to be annexed. And I noticed I don't see that with the other cities, but in St. Anthony you do. We have really irregular borders because they
Right.
haven't,
Until that recent thing where they went out and said, if you have services, you're in.
yeah,
The city of St. Anthony had never annexed property where the owner didn't want to be annexed.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the rest
and
of the
that's why.
cities are more or less in that same boat. They've only ever annexed people who want to be in the city. The annexation rules also completely changed a couple of years ago. And so they're different now than they used to be. But if a city wants to annex a bunch of this, let's say St. Anthony decides they're gonna spend some money and they're gonna run services out here and they want to annex all of this. There's a way for them to do that, requires a vote, that be a certain percentage of the value of the property and of the owners of the property. But they can't do it at all if it's not in the area.
Thank you.
And like I say, I would prefer that was dependent on the city's policy and a document the city had to produce, rather than making the counties do this for the cities. But that's also because this is meant to solve a problem that the faster growing counties in the west part of the state have, where the cities were competing with each other, racing to annex property, fighting over who got to annex what, and all the way back to the first area of the city impact law was designed to settle that so that the cities didn't constantly fight over what they were annexing, and we get dragged along in it.
We are gonna, this new state law does require that we reassess this every 5 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that actually cities can request in between that 5 years
Yep.
to have changes made.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for me? Okay.
Thank you, Tom. We ready to go on for this? Okay, all right. We're going to take our little sign up sheet here. Help me keep time.
Yep. Are we doing 5 or 3 minutes?
3, and if somebody signed up wants to, 3 minutes, is that correct, guys? 5's good, I like 5.
Okay.
5 minutes. Just reminding everybody that when you first stand up here, please give us your name and address. Preferably not just a PO box, if you can, give us an address. And also that the rest of the people sitting out there remain quiet for us so that we can hear it, because we're the ones who have to decide on this. Our first one to speak will be Chad Stevens.
I will go ahead and pass.
Okay, you're not gonna speak at this point? Okay. Shelley Clark. Hi.
I was just mostly wanting to reaffirm that I understood properly what I heard. Can I just state that and you can tell me if I'm correct in my understanding?
Yes,
Addition to pump.
but you have to come up here and do it, just officially. Yeah, and is that Dan? Don Schwinneman? Schwinneman, okay. Yeah, okay, you're on deck. You're on deck. So your name and your address, please.
Oh, my name is Shelley Orm Clark and I am a 6-month resident of Island Park with agricultural property, but I live in Boise, Idaho at 5249 East Sagewood Drive during the winter. Okay, I just wanted to reconfirm that with the new city annex plan, I understand they reduced the size of the impact area. It's now smaller. And I wanted to know when it comes time for the city to expand, if you're within the impact area, can they annex you without your consent? Is there any way
No.
to force you to enter? Okay. And the other thing is just to understand, if you have a property that, as the city expands, is determined that the city can't provide services such as sewer services and et cetera, like because there's a river crossing it or whatever, does that prohibit them? Can you move that, the annex line, or how does that work with any land that's within the impact property that cannot be accessed by city
You're
service?
referring to your property, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Tom, can you show us Island Park, where she's at?
I I just looked at it and
Please.
it seemed like there's,
The cities can't force annex
No.
anybody.
okay.
You have to specifically ask to be annexed.
Oh, you do have to
Yeah.
ask to be annexed within the
Can't
city.
annex you.
So there's no way that you can like condemn
Nope.
an area or something if you needed city infrastructure for that.
I hope not.
Okay. And
Changes.
and then during a 5-year period in between reassessing the annex area, not the annex area, the area of impact, if you have an issue, you can challenge that, and that's the correct time to bring it up,
Yes,
would be in the next 5-year period.
yes.
Okay,
You
thank
can
you.
do it between, but wait, because I wanted to see, where are you at on there?
This property right here.
Yeah, I'm right here, and the river runs through here, and there's a bridge. This is all Willow's Wetlands, river bottom. and this is all irrigated wetland in here.
How far does the sewage and water come to at this point?
I know
You know?
there's sewage areas out in here somewhere, but,
Well, I know it's sewer is.
no, I have a well,
Julie?
but I was just curious.
So this is all your
Yes,
Orm Ranch and this as well?
yes.
And
And actually, it goes up there as well.
I know that was my next question. So there's more than this. There's.
Yeah, that's her piece, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's the Orem Ranch, I think 3 different sisters own it.
Okay, and this is. Oh, here's the highway. Okay, I'm just trying to figure that out.
That's, this is nice, so.
Right.
And the impact area comes to where on there? I have trouble reading these maps.
It's right exactly around my border.
So it goes all around you, but
Yeah.
not through you.
Go up here and that.
Is that right? It's going around her. It's not going through into her ranch.
Yeah. but-
Absolutely included in the impact area.
On the other side of that river.
Hmm.
So when I was looking at that, I was thinking that's.
Well, it's likely just you border the city and you can't split a parcel,
No, I understood that. You can't
you
split the
know,
parcel.
so it is including your whole property,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
that's not necessarily saying that the city is willing or able to bring services to the whole.
and that was my question. And if that was in order for you to be in the city limits, would the city be obligated to be able to provide you services?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were, okay.
But you're an agricultural area, is that correct?
Yeah.
And you've been an agricultural area for 100 years,
120 some odd years.
130 years. Tom, where they're agricultural, actually those 3 pieces are, but she's included in the area of impact. Is there a reason that the area of impact would actually include agriculture, an agricultural area like hers? Where it's never been considered, it's been there forever. I do think
Includes it now.
it includes it now. Was there a reason we didn't knock it back because of what she was?
Property borders the city, and we included every private piece of property
Mm.
that borders the city. Just as a blanket. We're just gonna include these. If we need to remove them,
Yeah,
we can,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
that was our approach, is we're looking at every city and everything that touches the city. Without making this far more complicated, we just included those.
And remember that it has to be contiguous. So you see that little, where you said was Harris's old place,
yeah,
This
that little subdivision right there, right? I don't know if services already go there.
The sewer goes there.
Okay, but so the sewer goes there.
Mhm.
So that needs to be in the area of impact. And in order for it to be contiguous, her piece of property has to be in the area of impact.
It doesn't put her at a higher risk of
Property
being.
borders the city where?
Right there.
Well, the city's really weird out there.
Sorry, it borders the area that's served by the sewer, and that's likely to be annexed.
But it can't be annexed without her app, without.
How is it apt to be annexed? I mean, we're doing this. Areas of impact that would be developed in the next 5 years.
Hers won't be probably.
They own that property, pretty sure they don't plan to develop it over the next 5 years, so I don't see why it would be included in the
Because
areas of
it
impact.
has to be included in order for this subdivision that's Mel Harris's old place that already has city services, that already has sewer services. In order for that to be included in the area of impact, it has to be contiguous, and that's why her piece is contiguous.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
that actually
too.
might be served by wells and septics.
But it can't
I'm not
be
sure.
annexed.
Yeah,
It
But,
cannot
yeah.
be annexed if you
Yeah.
do not want it.
Yeah, but why include it if it's not gonna be developed? That's the whole point of this area of impact, is to identify those areas
They're
that
most likely
you
to
can
grow.
expect to be annexed or developed, annexed over the next 5 years, and that, I don't see that happening.
And our.
Even if it's contiguous.
Our
Okay,
comprehensive
so-
code says we shouldn't do that.
In order to avoid having to have this debate over every single piece of property, we took the approach that I described in the. staff
Right,
report
but
And said, okay, if it touches the city, we're going to include it. Lots of people will tell you, I'm never going to do X with my property, and then situations change and they do it. I don't think they're going to, but that doesn't mean it's impossible, right? The approach that we used, the criteria we came up with meant that we included this. It was already in the area of impact, we just didn't cut it out. If you want to cut this out in your recommendation, you can.
Yeah.
But do you want to do this analysis for every single piece of property or in every single city?
I would think only if there's concerns by owners in that area. If an owner has a concern, then maybe we need to actually do that.
yeah,
I mean, I know that we're coming close to the deadline. And this was passed in July of last year, I believe, to do all this. And we are coming down to the deadline on getting it done. But I don't, if I understand this right, if she's in the area of impact and she wants to change that after this, doesn't she have to appeal it?
No,
No.
She can just ask to be taken out and it
so
doesn't cost her anything.
again, as a private property owner, all right, no city is able to force that private property owner to annex, right?
Well, not
The
to annex,
state-
but to be in the impact area.
Let me finish, please.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Nobody is able to force that private property owner to develop it if they don't want to develop it, okay? There's no zoning change been made to this piece of property. It was in the area of impact before.
Right.
And again, the reason that it was left in is because of being contiguous in this other little subdivision down there that needs to be included, right?
Yeah.
So right this second, nothing is changing for this property owner from what it was before, right? Nothing is changing.
Except she's found out about it and maybe wants to change it.
Well, right, so then our process, as Tom said, instead of going through this level of discussion on every single piece of property around every city, we made some general assumptions, and in general, nothing changes for any property owners based on what we're doing right now, right? We're meeting a requirement for this, from the state legislature. Nothing is changing for any property owners right now. If the cities want to come to us and say, hey, okay, so you made these large scale changes to meet the state legislature, now we'd like to refine those, then we go through a process to refine those, right? And so nothing we are doing with this right now is going to have any immediate impacts on any property owner in the county.
Keyword being.
and yet it does, maybe not immediate,
But it could.
but
How could it? I'm confused. Nothing will happen on that property that they don't ask to have happen.
that's
Yeah.
very true.
If they don't want it to happen, it's
It's
not
not
gonna
gonna
happen.
happen.
Of the areas of impact was to eliminate those areas, as I understood what the state wants, is to exclude those areas where there isn't expected to be development. I thought that's what this was about, not that's what it was about. They want us to cut back on areas of impact and include only those areas that they expect that are gonna see growth in the next 5 years.
So
So
why
to me,
haven't we
this
put
is
the
a
area of
direct-
impact on the other side of the highway where things are growing? Why
It's
haven't we
over
put
there.
it there?
It's over there.
It's already on all that whole side over there? Is that where the red line is?
The area of impact now goes right behind Stonegate.
Okay.
Goes right behind where?
Stonegate.
So
Oh,
if
so-
somebody had a request right now not to be in that area of impact, we can take them out. We can,
Not necessarily.
I mean, if that, theoretically, we could just take them out.
Right, today we're asking you to make a recommendation.
Because it should.
If you adjust any of these boundaries after your deliberation as part of your recommendation, that's fine.
Yes.
Madam Chairman, do you want to go through all the private properties around the cities then? And do each one?
No.
But we should make it, I mean, they weren't aware of it. So maybe we need to make it aware to
Actually-
everybody and then go through each one.
Actually, everybody was made aware of it by either private letter or by announcement through the newspapers. I don't know how you found out about
I
it.
didn't get the private letter because I'm in Boise and.
Right.
See the,
So she
but,
didn't hear about it until later.
until like a
Kelly
week
actually
ago.
called me about it and I referred her to Tom.
Yeah, and
And the thing that I guess, no, we don't want to go through all these because that's actually what the cities were supposed to be doing over this last year.
can I
Since it was first came up. And if someone didn't hear about it, like in Shelley Orm's case, then perhaps those cases need to be asked personally if they want to be in it or not. Because if they have to go back through, after the first of the year, we're rushing this, We're rushing this.
What is the negative impact on your property by being in the area of impact?
well, I was concerned that it might limit how we want to run things or how we might want to handle the property. I was just confirming that.
Yeah,
Like within the next 5 years, if something happened, they couldn't say that we want this piece. And, there wasn't a mechanism to change that boundary or to force me to be within city limits or to change a
There's a
zoning
mechanism
area.
You can change it.
Pardon?
There is a mechanism you can change it.
That I could change it, but
Mhm.
not the city. So I have the right to refuse any
Yeah.
Yeah.
proposed. That's the only thing I really wanted to confirm, that I was sure I really understood what we've been
Yeah.
saying.
No, you can change it, but the city can't force you to do anything unless they condemn your land. And I don't think they can do that. Well, somebody can condemn your land.
but if we decided that this doesn't make sense for this property to be in the area of impact,
We could-
and then something changed, and they decided that they wanted to develop it and have city services, they could not do that.
You'd have to go through the county.
They'd have to go through the county
Right.
to for it to be in the area of impact.
So being in the area of impact does not change or do anything to your property,
Mhm.
to the ability that you have to do what you want to with your property. But not being in the area of impact could change that.
So 3 or 4 generations, if nobody's ranching up here anymore and
And
you wanted to do something different, then the mechanism is to go back and apply for like a zone change or to incorporate it into the city or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, Dawn.
I was really prepared, my name's Don Schwemmer, my property is 2469 Rivers Edge Drive, and I probably am speaking for the few people that are along Rivers Edge Drive in trying to deal with
Hold on,
Yeah.
is this in St. Anthony?
St. Anthony,
Yeah.
sorry.
Where?
2469 Rivers Edge Drive, St. Anthony, Idaho.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're gonna, show us where it's at.
2459, sorry, 2459.
On,
Rivers Edge Drive. I've actually owned 2 pieces of property
show us where you
along
live
there.
or where, yeah.
Right on the south side of the
So,
river.
actually, yeah. So this is the property I'm talking about right now, right here. There's basically 3 homes
Right,
right here
yeah.
in this area. Then there's I believe it's BLM land along here. And then there are 3 more homes over here.
Right.
And so this is real property. I'm not sure exactly how this is along the city boundary, but I guess what my main concern is that, in looking at some of the things that this is from the city of Idaho Falls that talks about, what's the area of impact, and the area of impact says it's a geographical area where cities expected to grow into and annex at some time in the future.
Yes.
And I guess I'm saying I'm against annexing it because of looking at this as a rural area clearly separate sections of property that I can't see how the city would want to develop this, or let alone bring services down River's Edge Drive.
It's
And
not the city you have to worry about.
why?
The city's not gonna do that unless there's a developer that wants to do it and buys the property. The city in itself is not gonna say, we're gonna develop that.
Well, the city, but would be the one trying to annex it.
They couldn't do that without your consent.
Yeah, without your consent.
What's that?
They
They
can't
cannot
annex.
do-
No, I realize they cannot annex without it being approved. I guess I'm partly is looking at it and saying, yeah, I can see that this whole area of impact is somewhat of a, seems like a benign thing, other than it's, as I see it, its intent is to try to identify areas for city development and annexation.
That's true.
And that I'm trying to say, seeing that that's really what it is, that this is really, I don't see as a section of land for city development that want to do that. And maybe it's somewhat as maybe a bit because I'm confused by what I didn't really see these till the report. But what I did look up, which doesn't have any legend, is this map,
Right.
which I don't understand what this is. I don't understand the brown lines, which is what I thought it was, because the brown lines I thought was what it was stating as the area of impact.
It is.
That's the black line.
The black or
The
brown.
black line is the area of city impact.
Okay, so what, I don't know what the previous city, this area of impact was, but given this black line, when I look at this black line here, it basically says that up River's Edge Drive, that it stops,
Pretty much at the canal.
no, it
Not
stops
now.
here, not including these three properties.
Oh,
It stops here.
okay,
Actually, it stops here.
Okay, it
This
stops,
is public land.
okay, it stops here.
I'm trying to avoid including public land.
So I think when you say
Okay.
developing it, I think even like
that's where
for
that is.
snow services or road services, the county does the back half that has no access to, and the city does the front half. I just, it doesn't seem like something that fits within what the area of impact should be trying to identify for what the city is. And I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm against an annexation for one, because I don't see how this property fits in there, and certainly not any of the owners. I used to own this property here. And I sold, and I own this property here. And so buying them because it's, or I mean, getting them, because it's, separate and rural and those sections that are there. And it just didn't seem like it fits within an area that you'd want to come in and develop.
Lots of homes and stuff on it.
A lot of homes or clear structure between the homes, it's, and even providing services to that when they're already, we have, of course, we have our own services for it, but
Is that,
bringing services down to that.
is that currently in the area of impact?
Yes.
This, up to this, yeah, up to this. So you got three homes here. And I guess this is all in one. Bacon owns this property here. And a lot of that's undevelopable because it's lowland, wetland area. And so I was saying I didn't understand the overall approach into what goes into it. And the biggest concern is if you're in that area of impact, I understand there's a process that law requires to go through to try to annex it, but I guess the thing that it's not just me, but the other property owners.
So you're
when they're
concerned if
against
the
that.
people on both sides of you decided to ask for an annexation? And not.
No,
is that-
no,
That's not your
no,
concern?
I don't think any of the people along there are interested in being annexed into the city.
But if they did, they're the ones requesting the annexation. Would it affect you? Is that what your concern is?
I don't know whether that would affect me or not. I'm assuming it probably would affect me. I don't know how that works. You would just annex one piece of property on each side, or I don't know how that works.
No, that won't. Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate your questions. We have, Chad Harper, thank you. And Matt Hively is on deck. Oh, this one.
Danny Draper.
Judd Harbaugh, 3618 Highway 32, Ashton.
Okay.
I'll keep it brief. I just wanted to briefly say that to echo the last gentleman's comments, in looking through what was on the agenda tonight and trying to figure out or prep for this meeting, I understand that putting together these maps is a really big deal and difficult, and trying to make it work for everybody and their computers is difficult, but without any legends, anything like that, it's really, really difficult. And excuse me. And on page 11 of the administrator's notes, D3, it says if a person can't zoom in on an electronic map and they're not willing to call or visit our office for clarification, I can't agree that our office lacks transparency. I drove from Ashton to the office and was told that the maps were going to cost 10, 20, 30 bucks to print. So I made that drive for nothing.
I got a phone call that said that they were asking $35 a map. If they have it enlarged so they could be seen. Is that true? I just got that call today from somebody in Island Park, that they were asking for $35 a map in order to enlarge it.
Yes. Do you know how big they are?
Yeah,
A printed one,
a printed, yeah,
not this one.
printed. But apparently, and I do understand these are, I've had a hard time with these too, so.
So,
I attribute it to age.
for a public hearing, I just, I don't see that, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
But
No,
for
I agree.
a public hearing, I just didn't see the need for a taxpayer to spend $30 a map to try to figure out what was on the agenda and try to make sense of the maps.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I've decided not to speak. Thank you.
Okay, are you,
Matt,
Matt Hively, that's what I thought. Dee Dee Draper?
Hi, Dee Dee Draper, 3618 Highway 32, Ashton. Thank you all for being here and for putting so much time into this committee. It's a lot. I am totally with Madam Chairperson on the development code and comprehensive plan. Really, they've been promised to us for a couple of years. I keep hearing that we're too busy, we can't do it. I've said a couple of times at different hearings, put a moratorium on, get this stuff up to date. These piecemeal changes are ridiculous. And I was heavily involved in that process back in 2011. It didn't take years. We had tons of community meetings. We did all kinds of stuff. We worked through it. And then I've been told that by a planning professional that it really doesn't take all that much to get an RFP out, just to look for people that can come in and be the leader of that process for us, for the county. I just feel that we as a growing county really deserve that. ASAP, it's way past due. So I would therefore encourage you to only put through the changes that you have to for the AOI, for the state statute to remain legal at this point in time. And, if we've got to shut down building for a little bit, do it. Get the comp plan and development code done. And one more item is that I've been to several of these meetings, many over the years. In a different life, I serve on the Fall River Electric Board. My comments here have nothing to do with that, nothing. This is me. But we have an attorney at every meeting. Our meetings are all-day meetings. Once a month, pretty much 9 to 3. And we have an attorney there all day, every single meeting. For just this reason, I don't know how you all can get through all the legal stuff Without it, I really feel that our commission needs an attorney here to answer these questions for you. You can't possibly understand all of that. Well, maybe you can. I don't mean to insult you, but anyway, that's all I have to say. I really ask you to keep it short and sweet, do what we have to do to follow the statute, and I'm disappointed that we're here 3 weeks before the deadline.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I know you were involved on the 2011 Development Code and comprehensive plan changes. Would you be willing to do that again?
I would be. Yep.
You guys like to take her name down and maybe talk
Sarah
about it,
knows me.
please?
Yeah.
She knows where to dig me up.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
We need a leader. Thank you so much. Toby Roadhouse.
Toby Roadhouse, 5 West Cedar, Parker, Idaho. I want to start with a question, maybe to dumb this down in layman's terms, since I also am the chairman of the City of Parker Planning and Zoning Commission. When we're talking about this area of impact, it was explained to me when this new bill was passed by the new statute for Idaho. Maybe in layman's terms, and you can correct me if I've got this wrong here. Beforehand, cities could say, hey, we want to expand this area of impact. And when they do that, they put this map out with the area of impact, and then their rules in some way could be pulled from to be used in an area of impact. They would have maybe not jurisdiction, but
That's right.
okay. So when they rewrote this, you're now taking that in an area of impact away from the city. So the city has no jurisdiction. That's actually a county jurisdiction. So even though we have an area of impact, basically all that's happening is the city can't claim all this stuff and make you do all this stuff. But we are wanting to have, we want to be notified if somebody wants to do something in the area of impact, and that allows us to prepare and be able to have a response. Is that kind of, in layman's terms, is that kind of what's going on here? Okay, so we're not doing anything really complicated here. So area of impacts around any city around here, basically the jurisdiction is just turning over to the county, and then you're relitigating the area of impact boundaries.
Yes, because the state asked us to do that.
So simply,
Actually didn't ask us. They said shall.
but that's simply what we're doing. We're not gobbling up land. We're not doing other things. We're just changing who governs that area.
Right.
Good.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So specifically with Parker and looking at the map of Parker, I was part of the commission that submitted a resolution to our city council on what we wanted to see changed here. In my view, looking over this, we have currently some city services, water services, that extend beyond what has been now proposed for this area of impact. And if you have a moment, I'd like to say that we would like our area of impact to go to the Red Road, which is this 1900 North 1900 East.
Can you show us? Yeah.
As we currently have water services out to that corner on the east side.
The water goes all the way out?
Our water goes all the way out there. Sewer goes halfway out, water goes all the way out.
Is that the Crapo corner?
That is Crapo Corner.
That's the only, nothing further.
Nothing
Than
further
north.
this time. On the north end of our area of impact, our water, as far as I understand it, goes to the swept corner. And so our proposal would be no less than going to 600 North on the north side of town for our area of impact. On the south side of us, there's lots of individual properties and homes that are in that area. And I'm thinking, speaking on behalf of our Parker City, no less than an area about 450 south. So that would be a little bit, extending a little bit further south than where you are right now. There's no road at 450. It's just, it's a half place between 400 North and Main Street of Parker. It'd be preferential, in our opinion, to go to 400 South, if that was all possible, just because of the growth that we anticipate that we might see. And then east, we are looking at, we were thinking 2100 east, which is the road halfway between Parker and St. Anthony. For reasons on that is to prevent the encroachment of the area of impact of St. Anthony onto Parker. And as far as what we're looking at in the next 5 years, maybe this is far-fetched, I guess, but I look at it this way. With the growth that we're experiencing here, this is one of the whereas in our resolution, the Eastern Idaho region is experiencing unprecedented growth. Many areas in Fremont County are starting to transition from rural areas into more urban landscapes with higher density populations. The city of Parker now lies within the Rexburg Micropolitan Statistical Area as defined by the United States Census Bureau. In the event that these farm ground pieces, which farming is not, is getting to be a lot tougher economically, if they were to start being split up and sold off, these places around Parker, if nothing happens, Parker is going to remain the same. But if one of these starts selling off, I feel in my mind that these are going to start dropping like dominoes. And so that's why we want this area to be considered, not to expand the city limits, but to have this area as our area of impact.
Okay.
Am I up?
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Were you asked, was the city of Parker asked to give their recommendation for the area of impact before this meeting?
Was the last
Yeah,
one.
this spring,
months
right?
ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And so
And then we had a meeting here where or many of the cities came and we had these maps up and we talked about our everybody said what they would like to see for their area of impact.
as chairman of the planning and zoning of Parker, I was not notified of that meeting.
And he wasn't here either.
It was a public hearing. No, it wasn't.
No, I've got
was a
the
meeting.
agendas for most of these, so I wasn't informed.
But
of
I
it.
do,
The city's got a letter.
I do remember that Toby was.
I mean, I
He
think that
wasn't here.
there's ways that we can work with this, but I think there's been opportunities that we could have had this conversation and had it on this map before tonight.
Yeah, most definitely. But I did not see that on the agenda for planning and zoning, for county planning and zoning. And I've been to most all of these and most all these meetings that have, most all the meetings that have a public hearing attached to them, I've been to over the last couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, we were surprised that you weren't there.
I'm surprised that you guys had that because I'm surprised I wasn't notified either, in my position, but I was not.
Maybe if we just revert back to this. Like, with this, it wouldn't solve your western problems, but this map from that meeting that he wasn't at.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? That would go to the red road at the bottom where their water goes out to.
Is that from the 1027?
Uh-huh.
And it was, then you talked about the 2100. Where is that at?
Halfway between Parker and St. Anthony.
How many miles?
So that's not, there's not a road through there. 2100, is that by Mike Miller? Is that?
Salmon, I believe, lives on that road.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's logical.
So does that pressure line, that sewer line that runs from Parker to St. Anthony that runs up that road, or you allow hookups on that?
Any hookups that go to that would be attached to the city would have to run back towards Main Street and Center Street in Parker
Get to the
to
gravity
hit the
system.
pump to go back that way. Yep.
Okay.
May I ask the council here, who was in attendance from the city of Parker on the 1028 meeting?
Nobody.
No.
Nobody.
There were only 3 cities
Yeah.
that showed up.
You weren't the only one that wasn't here.
Right.
I would have been had I been notified.
I have a question on the notifications then. And I mean, I think the time is up, correct?
It is.
Yeah. I have a question to our staff. Do we notify city councils or the mayors or whatever of these cities that there is a meeting, or is that just something they have to find on their own?
No, we got a letter.
I know you get.
Yeah, the cities get letters.
So the city, when you say the city, who is that? Who gets one?
Whoever our contact is for the city.
Probably the secretary clerk.
Yeah, no.
We need to have a discussion.
Yep, sound like it.
So what? If we pass this as it is today, what's the process they can come and apply to expand their area of impact on a separate date. What's the process for that?
And does that go through us again, or does it go straight to the county commissioners?
Goes through you. They make an application, they send a letter, whatever, saying we want to modify the area of impact. We go through this process to
Public hearing.
public hearing. Yeah.
So is it easier for us to just do it here rather than have them go through it again?
Yeah.
No,
Go ahead.
can we do that? Amend your amendment without having another public hearing? On the changes?
More or less, yes. We're making a recommendation about what's gonna be in the map. It's really easy for you to cut something out. If you add too much, then it's probably better to do another hearing. The problem that Parker's recommendations have is we stretched the definition of what should be included in 5 years worth of growth as hard as we could, so that we weren't cutting back these areas of impact in a way that was insulting to the cities, right? And we didn't want to give the impression that we don't think you guys deserved this. But Parker's projected growth is really, really small. And they asked for an expansion of the area of impact that they already had. And it just didn't seem like something that we could reasonably recommend. We tried to accommodate as much as we could of it. And if they do grow, anytime they have a proposal to annex then we'd be perfectly happy to do that.
Man,
Yeah.
So if this amendment passed tonight, then, because there's been other issues, I think some of these need to be adjusted. Can they individually, each city come and ask,
Yep.
and there'll have to be a separate public hearing for each one?
And to be honest, that would be a better way to do it. Discuss these on a smaller scale.
And that way we include everybody. We wouldn't just make one change for Parker tonight and then somebody come in and say, well, you changed it for him. Why didn't you talk to me?
We're
So,
danged if we do and danged if we don't.
Even though the city of Parker provides services to areas that's outside of the city limits, they can't annex that property without permission without the property owner wanting to be annexed, right?
That's there's a bunch of legal questions involved in that, but
With the services especially.
some of it,
His attorney.
some of it they might not be able to. And like I say, that's all more than I can answer for you. But the areas that they do have services to are certainly worthy of consideration for inclusion. There's a lot of ground there. And it's really hard to justify including it on a 5-year time scale.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, and I think that you should be able to. The reason to include in the area of impact is because you want to annex. That's,
If that came, if these properties start falling and getting subdivided, then yes, we want to have that available to us.
right. So, I think that what we ought to do is just leave it how it's proposed now and let them come back to go through that process when.
because of a 5-year, I think we're better off leaving it the way it is too. Even though that's it's a good place to look at, but I think that we don't want to,
Well, again, I'm not asking to expand the city limits. We're not asking to
No.
encroach on people's property. We just want the tool that if that were to expand, then this is already set. And another thing, City of Parker's area of impact was, I'm not sure when this happened, but the negotiations on this was much smaller than other comparable cities in this county up to this point. I don't know if you guys went off a percentage of growth on the area of impact size, but a lot of these, you're looking at like quarter mile, half mile around the cities, and Parker's was like a few hundred yards. I don't know who negotiated, that was before me, but, we're just trying to get a size here to talk about, even though we already have some services to the north and to the west. And, if these properties were to be subdivided and people come in with proposals to do that, we were able to expand the city.
Would you be willing to leave it the way it is now and know that in the next month or two, you could reapply?
Sure, yeah.
Change it?
Yeah, just as long as you guys are made aware of that and, yeah.
And then you can get input from your.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Also, as a city, you can say, we're not gonna extend services to you unless you annex into the city. You as a city can do that.
Okay.
Mhm.
and that would be important to do that very thing.
Yeah, well, if we don't change it tonight, then they have to go through the process, which is fine. They go through a process where they have more input from their actual community into making the changes that might be appropriate.
Do it right.
If we, yeah, in other words, do it right. Yeah, because at this point, and I'm apologizing, this should have been done long ago and there should have been a lot more input and I don't know how that works. But we've had a year, almost a year and a half to do this. And the cities have not participated, whether they just didn't want to participate or they weren't.
City of Parker
informed,
participated.
Whatever. But the thing is that now they're coming down the line and they're going, not because they don't have the impact zones, the area of impacts that they wanted. But they have to know that they can change that. This is not set in stone and you have, in every 5 years, this is going to be reconsidered. But you can come back in January and ask for an impact zone change or area of impact. Right?
Yeah.
If I understand it correctly. It means a hearing and blah, 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 and all that stuff. But it gives you time within your own city to try and motivate your folks to, yeah, do what they're supposed to do.
They did.
They did, but I mean, but because it wasn't done now, you can do it again, and it's just a public hearing, but it's a public hearing on, instead of all of this, it's your public hearing. At that point, it's your city's public hearing. And we discussed just that, not 5 other cities or 8 other cities, whatever. 5 other cities. So, yeah, to me, it would be easier to do it that way. But if you want it changed, you need to talk to them.
So we did submit a proposal with a map previously to be considered, and this is what we got as rebuttal, so I'm rebuttaling that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Alicia Nelson?
I will not.
Okay. Okay, that's the end of our group of commenters. And I'm moving at this point, can we take a break for 10 minutes?
Are we almost done with the meeting?
We still have our, we'll have to discuss and then vote.
All right.
I know. Kathy, you're usually the one who wants a break. You need a break?
I need a break.
Okay. Okay, there we go. I was, just didn't want to.
Me
put her on
too.
the
I
spot.
don't want to come back.
My bladder says it's time for a break. Some bladder.
Please, guys, take some goodies with you when you're done.
Eat on the way.
Because my grandkids will.
Around circles.
Yeah.
Sarah's getting a tree.
Redo everything. Put the last 3 pages without all this.
That's exactly what I'd like to see. 3 pages.
Do what?
The thing
Put a moratorium.
yeah, but she said also says That's a lot. They'll have 40 pages to make sure that they're covered, their bases are covered.
Yeah, that's true.
Thinking about that second one. Oh, my name. Well, I got the brown.
It's a lose-lose situation.
All right.
You don't really, yeah,
It's the other one,
that's true.
but I'm not much into chocolate any day.
Somebody's not having.
Well,
I wanted to add this, just saying that I respect.
you know, I thought about that city of Parker doing out here. And that's still a lot of big areas.
Thank
That is farm ground. You start. Making it available.
Oh, no.
Yeah, if,
I've actually
you know, we're seeing a adjustment.
I have some in the car.
Taxes on that.
I have some too, some,
Find out.
Mine's no Tara.
I have parrot, but,
$20,000 an acre.
yeah.
My haircut, or my,
Yeah.
no Tara.
But it's
I guess. Dang.
Or skip golf,
Just
bear
5
watching
minutes,
out there, I can remember.
Don't tear impressive.
Could have bought that 40 years ago for $100 an acre.
Excited about me.
But now they're selling 40,000.
And the sad thing is, what I.
Yeah, I eat the drops, the,
Oh, you do the drops. I have the just.
not the extra, well, not for.
I forgot Tara.
Yeah, they're.
Not even
That's,
put a huge trailer on that. They've got so much.
and then they can foreclose that.
Yeah, and then it
I'm
gets.
sorry.
The yards never get put in. There are some nice places getting built out there now.
They're wonderful.
Whatever it's called, Chester Estates. There are some that are just.
Junk. Is that? He's trying to sell us.
Manufactured home. You know, most people are buying them, the ones that are buying along the road. Early on, so people are buying them lots back in. Those roads are not meant to be all season roads. They're, you know, county.
Taking the
plow,
ranch.
Stuff all over. Frost goes out.
It's good.
It's just the.
Oh.
It's a mess.
The bad thing is what we had heard.
These are good ones.
Expensive and crowd, then they can't afford to put everything else on.
Now,
Fire.
You're right.
Make a.
Yes, when I was working up there in high school and college, going on rodeo weekend was the best.
Yeah, we get a lot. You know, I call the do-gooder projects.
When
The do-gooder
down, you watch
projects.
people stand, they don't wear helmets. I mean, they wear helmets now, but.
Oh, yeah, that's what
Fix their yard.
no, this is just Band-Aid.
Two or three goats, cow, bunch of turkeys. They're all over there, making stuff up. You didn't have a clue, you might in country. Harbor. Everybody else building a fence.
Oh,
It's a zoo up there.
When I
And I'm sure it's that way.
walk the river,
It's a hard.
Okay, man, it's time. It's time, we're having discussions out here, we should.
Oh, I had 7:42.
it's a nice little.
You had that house.
I wrote it down. That's a good girl. But we can start again.
I just don't want her to get herself.
Kathy. Kathy. Kathy.
Also.
Oh, Jim's in this staff. Yeah, I think the biggest change is there, if I walk some.
Oh, it's, I know.
You know.
My daughter,
If I walk, I mean, I'm.
my daughter told me. She told me the way, the main tender way is every time you eat, whether it's for breakfast. That you walk for 15 minutes after that.
My face will freeze off. You have a mountain lion in the favorite.
I do laugh. Oh, thank you.
The next station or
Lung brownies are my favorite. I'm
Except Jim.
a chocolate fan. I
I'm just.
I used to be.
Yeah, we're gonna be here forever.
Give me any day. But good chocolate brownies are. Yeah. I hate them when you buy them in the bakery.
Okay,
Just checking out your snack. What you got?
we're all back.
Sorry about that.
Okay, all right. Now we get to discuss among ourselves. Any questions?
Tom, the Island Park area of impact includes Dick Button's property. And you say we haven't changed anything, so was it in the area of impact through all of our process?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
And they were able to use community systems if they wanted to, if they, that's, yeah.
I didn't realize it
That's,
was.
they were proposing that, was that they were gonna use community services.
No, they
Well,
won't.
well, they had to, yeah, yeah. That was one of the proposals, that they would use the community services.
Well, yeah, they were gonna hook to the county sewer system,
Right,
but that's not the city. That happened.
that's true, because they're not connected. At that point, that piece of property is not in contact, I don't believe, with city property, is it?
No.
Yeah. No.
No, there's a piece of state land in between it, if I'm not mistaken.
According to this,
But it's in the area of impact.
It's
It
in the
always
area.
has been.
Yeah, yeah.
it's off the highway, it touches the highway, so it's within the. Like I said, I didn't realize that it. Maps I saw didn't indicate that.
I myself think that we should leave off the changes for the development code and the comp plan, because we don't have time to really discuss that. We'd have to go through all of the comp plan to really look at the changes that would be affected by this. And our development code, it means setting up a new type of zone, which we have had no input from anybody on.
So you're just talking about the public facilities and the open space.
Right,
zoning?
just those two.
What if we just restricted it to the city of St. Anthony?
We're still changing the development code in the comp plan. And that's a concern to me, because once we change something on the development code or the comprehensive plan, it can grow, it can spread, it can breed. It can go elsewhere. And that concerns me. Then what happens when we come to the actual update of these documents is what if we don't want them there? What if we have to change it to something else different?
Okay, you can change it.
Then you have to change it. But if we change it now, what stops us at some point from somebody deciding to use it in Highland Park?
Well, they'd have to
be
come
zoned
before us and apply for a
Yeah.
zone change.
I see what you're saying, Loy, and I
We
agree
put
that
that-
it's done, but.
I mean, what Tiffany's proposing, and I would be in agreement with this, is that we make this only apply to the city of St. Anthony at this time. And so then if that scenario happens that you just talked about, it's an easy answer to say, no, you can't change it to that zone, because we've said the code says that only applies to that specific area in the city of St. Anthony. And we're only doing it to try to match what the city of St. Anthony currently has in their zone.
And we don't have a county zone that allows,
That matches it.
that matches theirs.
If we keep changing these little pieces one at a time, We have never updated this document.
That I agree with.
And this document should have been updated 8 years ago.
But we're under a deadline for these.
Right. We're under a deadline for this, and I understand that. But it doesn't mean that we can't. If I read this right, perhaps I didn't read the 40 pages correctly. This didn't even have to come to us originally. It could have gone straight to the county commissioners. And if it had gone straight to the county commissioners, what would they have done with the development code and the comprehensive plan? That's a good
We
question.
don't take this stuff straight to county commissioners because we have you.
But it said you could. It said we could have gone straight to the county commissioners. So if it had gone straight to the county commissioners, what would they have done with this as far as the development code? Because they can't change the development code or the comprehensive. plan.
Any discussion of that or?
Can't change the development.
Not without the input to it, not without input on it.
Any discussion of that or resolution of that does not help us tonight.
It's just a fact out there.
Has nothing to do with what we have to do tonight.
What we need to do tonight is make sure that the area of impact is actually passed. If we need to do it tonight, we do have till the 31st. We could have another meeting. Oh, boy, it's what I want to do during the Christmas holidays. However, if we can pass them, we have some possible changes that might want to be done before we actually do this. Are we going to do any of the changes that were suggested tonight or concerns that people had? Were there anything out there that we had to do tonight? Or can they wait until January to be done privately through each city?
Well,
Each
I
one.
think it sounds like that can be done. We can adopt this as is and the cities can come back and ask for an amendment. So,
Right.
And there,
I mean, if we're gonna amend it for the city of Parker tonight, we better call
Everybody
City
else.
Island Park, we better call City of Newdale, City of Teton, give them a chance to amend it too.
and there's no property owner or city that gets negatively impacted tonight
Right,
No.
by approving this the way it is now.
right.
I have a question, Tom.
Yes.
The green area on this St. Anthony map, open space is basically the river and the property directly adjacent to the river. So my question was that we have no jurisdiction on the river, right? I mean, we can't make any decisions.
There are private pieces of ground in there.
Okay. Because
That have to have a zone and I am concerned that even the rural-based zone allows things that are detrimental to the city's vision for the river corridor. And I think they deserve an attempt to accommodate what they want to achieve there.
okay, so then it comes back to us and somebody wants to put a wave park in the river and they want boat ramps and they want places where people get out. They'd have to come to us. What are the restrictions? What are the?
They'd have to go to a lot more people than us to get that done, wouldn't they?
No, well,
In the river. I have had somebody come call me up who owns an island in the river near St. Anthony in the existing area of impact.
yes.
Where we currently have adopted by reference the city zones and applied them in the area of impact. And this person wanted to know what they could build on that island in the river. And I looked up the city's code and I said, oh, this is zoned open space. You can't build anything.
That's my question. If it's
Right.
open space, they can't build anything?
That's the way that open space
Open
is.
space zone is very restricted.
Yes.
So the river and all of the property is protected from all of those things. That's
Because
my
they're all in
backyard.
open space in the river.
That's my backyard.
Yeah, right. So I mean, if you look at what he's got in here, open space and public land use, there's a table proposed back there.
But to me, it did not actually say what, it says it'll be what the city now has, but it doesn't, to me, it doesn't, what are the restrictions in that open space?
That's what this,
That's what this green table.
right,
In
Page,
table
give me page
4.9,
number.
It's in attachment 3, I think. Yeah, it's in
Attachment
attachment
3.
It's 1, 2, it's like the third piece of paper from the back.
Oh, these aren't numbers. Okay.
Yeah.
Attachment 3, third from the back.
For the green light, for the green.
The green lines are, okay, got it.
It's established to recognize areas of recreational and public uses and to protect floodplain slopes, national drainage. And so, and I looked at the land uses and permitted and special uses for this zone are established in 4.9, which doesn't tell me really, isn't to me, because the thing that's proposed isn't listed here. So my big concern is that open space. Because that's a big chunk of.
Again, if things aren't listed on this list.
Then they can't have it. That would be the island in the middle of the river.
Right. Right. So now, if that same situation happened and that were zoned rural base.
Right, I understand. That's what I wanted to clarify,
yeah.
is what does
and
that
all
open
the
space?
Stuff they could put on.
Absolutely, yes. And the same thing would be true of the
Of course,
public
they may not
facilities.
be able to get a sign.
Well, they seem to be able
Well,
to
they
get
don't
around that. They've done it already.
Has to be within it has to be more than 300 feet away from the water.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, if you can put in a what's it called, mound system?
Well, you can do above ground system.
Right.
You still have to,
So you
can't dump
can
it.
actually build within 300 feet of the river. I was surprised I didn't realize it, but yeah.
So Tom, the open space zone is a city zoning then?
it is now. What this suggestion is that property remains zoned, or that we zone it open space again, and we adopt in chapter 3.
Those things that,
or
yeah.
In attachment 3, there's some proposed language that we are suggesting should be added to the development code so that we have that zone in our code
And I
now.
read that totally wrong. So,
And
What
then,
page is that on?
It's in
Yeah,
that
That's
attachment.
just that,
Like that.
Oh, no.
all that green type. and where-
Oh, okay, but as far as what the proposal was,
The third piece of paper from the back of the packet.
I have that.
Everything green there is.
Would be what was put in the development code. Yes.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. I don't know what it is, but I mean, like it. I lost it. We're talking page 11, right?
As long as the development code and the comprehensive plan are changed only for that area in St. Anthony. Yeah, I think we're okay with no ability to move it or change it until the development code and comprehensive plan have been updated. To use it elsewhere. You can't use it elsewhere. Can't use it anywhere except right there in St. Anthony until the development code is updated and the comprehensive plan is updated.
We can't use it on the Henry Lake Flat?
Mm-mm. Nope.
I know.
No, you can't.
Okay.
Use it anytime I want. All right.
Nowhere except right there.
There's a lot of places I'd like to use it.
I would make a motion that we forward this ordinance to the County Board of Commissioners with a recommendation to approve it.
I'll second it.
But that does not say that until the development code and the comprehensive plan are updated, that it can be used anywhere else.
No, it doesn't have to, because
Doesn't have to,
this
then.
already says what it's gonna do.
It doesn't say that.
The open space says it.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor
Aye.
All those opposed? Passed with one denial, one objection. And unless you get rid of me, I'll be here for 2 more years and I can watch what happens with that. Even if I'm not there, I can still show up.
That's right.
Talk about.
2 hours.
Yeah.
In January, I
That's
need to
just-
make sure I'm not looking at 2025's calendar when I talk about these dates.
Our normal meeting days, Martin Luther King Day.
Right, and so we're proposing the day after that, which I think is the 20th.
January 20th, yeah.
Mhm.
I don't have any-
That is Wednesday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
It's my birthday, by the way.
January 20th?
Birthday?
birthday party.
I'll be 72. You can bring me a cake, Kathy. Thanks.
You're still not as old as
Good
me.
candles.
70 also, or 72?
72. Yeah.
I won't be there on that day, the 20th.
I will be as far as I.
I'm pretty sure I can.
Yeah,
do that.
invite it.
Tom,
Yes.
my term on this commission, it was a 3-year term, it expires tonight. Am I coming back in January?
Well, it expires on the day you were appointed in January.
Oh, okay, so in January.
Right, the commissioners are. We moved all of that out of my hands, right? People don't make application to me to be on P and Z.
Okay.
And I have as little involvement in it as I possibly can. I know that they're thinking about it and that they will either reappoint you or not
Right,
by the time your term expires.
okay. I'm not the only one.
And then do we actually elect another chair or the same?
In
chair?
January, yes.
Thanks.
Can I ask another question? Was it Mrs. Draper? Was that her name from Ashland?
Dee Dee Draper,
Yeah.
Dee Dee.
She mentioned that we should consider putting a moratorium on things until we get this new code all done. Is that even possible?
Moratorium can last no longer than 6 months. And I asked our attorney about a moratorium once. I said, should we do a moratorium? I can't remember what the circumstance was, and he recommended against it. Moratoriums don't actually help us that much because everybody who's in the process gets to keep going. There's only a limit on new applications. So there's enough work in the pipeline to keep us busy for at least half of that 6 months.
How many applications are we
So
getting a
that-
month, Tom?
Oh. I don't know. I have to go back and look, but it's a fair number. I mean,
40, 20?
yeah. Well, we get all kinds of applications, right? We get building permit applications, we get zoning applications, subdivision applications, short-term rental applications. And for every application we get, there are 3 or 4 dozen phone calls of people who have questions about whether or not they're going to apply. Right?
Well, the reason I asked Tom is just for that purpose, if it would free up some more time to be able to put towards that.
Yeah.
If that would help, you know, I
I
if it
don't
would
think,
help the staff to do that,
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great idea for us to,
I don't,
even for 6 months.
yeah,
Is the 6 months a state statute or is that a
it's in
county?
the statute, yes.
It can be renewed under certain circumstances, as I understand it.
Right, you can extend.
Yeah, the problem is you run into you run into regulatory takings headaches if you prohibit development for longer than 6 months, right? The Supreme Court has said not allowing people to do anything is the same as occupying their land, and if you do it for more than a limited amount of time, and 6 months seems to be the limit, then you get in trouble. With the moratorium, the discussion about moratoriums.
And possibly have the attorney with us.
I would be for it as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned about having Mrs. Draper help us with whatever.
Sounds like she was willing to kind of lead.
And I
that.
don't know if that's anything that we'd be interested in or not.
But I think the point that we're kind of driving at right now is that this wasn't on the agenda for tonight, so
You
Right.
can't do anything, take
Can't
any
do
action.
by talking about it now.
Right.
Right.
We can have a discussion about moratoriums. I'll invite the attorney. Tuesdays are actually better for him than it's really hard to get him to even talk about coming to a meeting on Monday. We might do it on Tuesday. We'll see what he says.
I move we adjourn.
Well, what about this meeting? Are we doing January 20th
Oh,
then?
January 20th.
Yeah, we have to decide.
Yeah.
All in favor of January 20?
I,
Anybody opposed? I know Jim can't be here. Maybe else. Okay.
Jim said he couldn't make it, didn't you?
Yeah.
January 20th will be our next
I'm in
meeting.
favor of you.
Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I did.
Okay,
I'll second.
all those in favor of adjourning?
I.
We're adjourned, unanimous.
Take some goodies with you guys.
Every time I see you with that jacket, I push the button.
I've been over there pushing it. I am not. I am eating more.